Boundless Immigration News, Week in Review, February 11th, 2022. USCIS does away with Trump-era mission statement. U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services, or USCIS, released a new mission statement earlier this week, replacing a statement implemented by the previous administration that removed the phrase Nation of Immigrants. The new statement was created with feedback from current USCIS employees and includes terms such as respect for all we serve and a nation of welcome and possibility. The move is part of a larger effort by USCIS to build a more accessible and humane immigration system. Court vacates 2 Trump-era rules that denied work authorization to asylum seekers. A federal judge in Washington, D.C. ruled on Monday that 2 rules restricting work permits for asylum seekers were invalid because Chad Wolf, the official who enacted them, did not have the authority to do so, and that the Biden administration could not cite the rule after the fact. The court ruled that the previous administration failed to follow the legal succession requirements for the Department of Homeland Security, DHS. The decision said that former acting DHS Security Wolf was not validly installed at the DHS and therefore did not have the authority to enact regulations and policies. The first rule was a timeline repeal rule, which got rid of the rule requiring DHS to process asylum seekers' work permit applications within 30 days. The second rule added over a dozen restrictions to employment authorization for asylum seekers, including extending the length of time asylum applicants had to wait before they could request work authorizations from 150 days to 1 year. CBP takes steps to limit power of controversial Border Patrol response teams. U.S. Customs and Border Protection, or CBP, is limiting the power of controversial quick response teams within the U.S. Border Patrol that immigrant advocates say have covered up instances of abuse by agents for decades. The memo provides new standards to Border Patrol agents from the CBP Office of Professional Responsibility and is an attempt to address the growing criticism of Border Patrol Critical Incident Teams, or CITs. CITs are not formal or codified units under the CBP Operations Manual and have been accused repeatedly by immigration advocates and human rights groups of operating as a shadow police force. U.S. begins quietly deporting Venezuelans back to Colombia. An increasing number of Venezuelans arrested at the U.S.-Mexico border are being deported to Colombia rather than their home country. The collapse of the Venezuelan economy, coupled with political instability, has resulted in a humanitarian crisis, forcing more than 6 million people to flee Venezuela since 2014. Those who previously resided in Colombia are being returned there by the United States, rather than to Venezuela. This new strategy is the Biden administration's latest attempt to reduce the number of Central and South American migrant crossings. U.S. immigration courts switched to e-filing. The U.S. Department of Justice's Executive Office for Immigration Review, which houses the country's immigration courts, now requires new immigration court filings to be made electronically, making a change welcomed by many immigration attorneys and advocates. Previously, e-filing was encouraged but not mandatory, and some immigration lawyers hope that the move can help the immigration court backlog, which stands at over 1.6 million cases. However, as with all previous efforts to roll out electronic services, glitches are expected. In the meantime, attorneys working in the immigration courts say they are still waiting for guidance as to which current pending cases will qualify for e-filing when the program becomes mandatory on February 11, 2022. GOP immigration bill runs into Republican rift. A first-term Republican House representative has introduced an immigration reform bill that would provide some pathway to legal status to a majority of undocumented immigrants in the United States in exchange for a heavy increase in border spending and enforcement. Despite the tough enforcement provisions, many conservative Republicans have signaled that they will not support any immigration reform proposal without significant concessions on what they view as border security. Given that Democrats and immigration advocates have dismissed the proposal as an election year ploy, and that through the U.S. Chamber of Commerce has tutored the bill, their views are generally not shared by the Republican base. It seems unlikely that the bill will see much movement. Those are this week's top immigration news headlines. If you found this video helpful, please be sure to give it a thumbs up and follow Boundless on YouTube for the latest in immigration news. Thanks for watching.